Welcome back to the Love Revolution. My name is Natalie, and this is a vlog intended to open up discussions about issues and topics related to love and deep connection. Because as our surroundings change, so should the way we think about love and connection. So let's break down our walls, let's get a little uncomfortable, and let's help each other remind that we do love and care. So, in case you didn't know, I live in Los Angeles, and tonight I'm out with my friends at a lounge called Apartment 503. If it's somewhere that you want to be, just have a good dance moment. Usually they play hip hop. Tonight they're playing a little bit of EDM, trap, and if you want to get ratchet, this is a really good place. I want to talk about, more importantly, about this really interesting idea of social media, right? It's become such a big part of our form of communication, and I'm talking about mainly the millennials, anyone between the ages of like 35 and younger. But I want to know, does social media hurt romantic relationships? Let's find out.
I think it brings temptation, for sure. Fucks with shit. It creates distrust and insecurities that weren't there before based on something that's there now.
I'm so mad at her.
It doesn't exist and isn't real. So yeah, it definitely fucks with shit.
Hey, my name's Anthony, and I don't think that social media fucks with your relationship, because if you're with someone and you love them, then who cares about social media, bruh? Love that person who you're with, fuck Instagram, fuck Twitter, put that shit down and be with the guy or the girl that you're with, because at the end of the day, they're gonna be there for you and social media won't.
My name is John Belaber, and whether or not social media sites affect relationships, of course they do. We're so used to fucking instant gratification. You just have no idea what would happen if they don't reply to you 3-4 hours, you feel me? Like, anybody, any significant other, any person you actually think is valuable enough to have a relationship with, the moment you don't hear from them, you get worried. It's fucked up, right? But guess what? That's not the way the world works. Like, people lived hundreds of years, hundreds and hundreds, waiting for a fucking letter that took days to fucking run on a horse with 4 legs. You know how long that fucking takes? Forever, dude. Could you imagine some dude back there, like 1875? He's like, shit, dude, I met this bitch outside of New York, dude. She was sexy, but she was on the other side, bro. Like, what do you do with that? You send her a fucking letter. You write it, you wax it, you send that shit. UPS wasn't around. What I'm saying is, of course, no same-day delivery. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? By Hawkmail or like Falcon, whatever you choose, like, relationships get very much affected by that shit. Because you want to creep, but you can't. Because then you're a creep. Literally. Fucking creep. Anyways.
I'm DJ by Felicia, and how I feel about romantic relationships on social media. I personally do not put it on social media. It gets messy. It's nobody's business. And on top of that, it's like, why do you have to show the whole world you're in a relationship? And to be honest, I fucked up once. I let the whole world know. My ex got into business with my cousins, his friends with my brothers. Biggest mistake. The one after that, we broke up. No one even knows we broke up to this day. So, it's nobody's business, to be honest. Because in social media, they're gonna, I don't know, they're just gonna wanna know everything about you, and your relationship with anybody is seriously just your fucking business. And any dude that feels some type of way about not being on your social media, he's a little bitch, because he doesn't need your account to get more attention. And if that's the only way he feels validated, then he has a lot of shit to work on. A lot of shit to work on. And that's that. That's that.
So, how do I feel about social media and romantic relationships? Well, I think it's one of the biggest insecurities and arguments in our current generation for multiple reasons. A, it's a form of communication with the general public. And it allows various forms of communicating without being traced or in a very hidden form. It can also be a way where people feel undervalued based off of our personal filtering, whether it be because we decide to use our social media just for work or for our personal exposure, you know. And it can also be an issue when we are denying that it's not that important, that it doesn't represent who we are. And I think that that's where the biggest issue comes into place, when people have a social media, but yet then they try and undermine as if it's not important to them, or as if they don't care what people think. But it's like, if you didn't, then why even have one, right? Then why even filter what you post and don't post? Clearly you do care, and clearly you understand that it is a form of communication to society. And I think that the sooner, as an individual, we accept that it is now an extension of us, it is a representation of who we are. And normally we post things that seem the most important to us on these things. So when either people don't post about their partners, then their partners can feel undervalued or hidden, which then brings the question of, well, who are they hiding me from? You know, it then leaves an open interpretation that the person is single and allows people to come in. It also allows people to actually have those communications hidden, either on the DM, on Snapchat, you know. And it is also a form of just our own personal individuality. So when partners do end up interfering with our own personal social media, it feels like a interference of our personal space, right? So then that also can cause issues where it's like, okay, well then there's clearly just a lack of trust. So in this part, it's like, how much of it is the partner's insecurities, and then how much of it is also denial of one's own personal actions in our social media to make it seem like I'm single, make it seem like this one person doesn't exist, or, you know, I know Felicia mentioned, like, well, it's no one's business who I'm dating or who I'm talking to. But at some point, if that partner is such a big part of your life, you know, why hide them? You don't hide your friends, you don't hide your family, you don't hide the work that you do, because they're such a big part and importance in your life. Then why hide your partner, you know? And it's not like, oh, I need to flaunt this person and the love, because that can also be kind of like too gushy. And it is unnecessary sometimes, but social media is a representation of the things that are important to you. And the sooner we get over this idea that, oh, it's not real, because I used to tell my ex-boyfriend that, like, oh, it doesn't matter what's on my social media, like, that's not real. What's real is what we have here in person. And yeah, that's true. We should focus more on like this personal, physical reality. But at the same time, if you're gonna go on and say that whatever's posted on your social media doesn't really matter, then why even have one, right? And as social media becomes such a big form of communication in society, we need to stop being in denial and saying like it doesn't matter, because it does. The relationships and the conversations we have through social media are real. I've built so many like business relationships through social media, personal relationships with family. So if you're gonna sit here and say, oh, those relationships aren't real just because they're virtual, then you're living in a bubble. This is our new world, and we need to take the effects that we do online much more seriously, because those effects, those reactions and actions that we do online have an effect in real life, in the real physical world. And if you want to be in denial about that, then it's going to cause issues in your physical relationships as well. So I guess it all comes down to A, stop being in denial that social media is not important and it's not a representation of you, because it is. That it doesn't build real connections, because it does. And also checking your insecurities, your personal insecurities. And mainly also trust. Because without trust, then there's no relationship. And lastly, just having an open conversation of what social media means to each person. Because if you guys are not on the same terms or on the same agreement or in same understanding, you know, it's like you don't always have to agree, just simply understand, then it'll cause issues and build more insecurities. So hopefully people can comment and really try and help me understand how to prevent this issue in romantic relationships, because our world is changing and the way we're communicating is changing. Till next time, have a lovely day.